Well, I wasn't surprised when I saw it open up a little bit this morning on the news. I also wasn't surprised once everybody read the release that it was down a little bit. I am a little surprised it's quite as strong as it is because I thought it was a solid release. They did a good job on gross margins, just like you were just talking about. They did a good job on expense. They've controlled the inventories. They've done all the things they told us they were going to do at the beginning of this 5-year plan. So certainly people should have been happy that they succeeded in doing what they thought they were going to do. On the other hand, I still think North America is pretty disappointing when they can't be competitive there, and that's what this looks like to me. I know they're drawing back, they're getting out of some of the channels, they're trying to be more reasonable in North America with their distribution. That's probably hurting them a little bit. But we're talking about a company that does $5 billion, like, you know, that's a big deal, except what's Nike, $40 billion? And so clearly they are up against a very, very strong competitor. And when I look at it, I say, do I want to own Under Armour at 65 times or Nike at less than half of that? Because Nike's doing an extraordinary job. And as you guys just mentioned, Lulu's doing a really good job too. I just don't see how Under Armour takes the market share back, particularly in North America. So yes, they did a good job. They had a good release.
Yeah. One way they're trying to distinguish themselves, Jan, and we talked a lot about this morning with Kevin and Patrick, is through performance wear. So they're not trying to be a fashion company. They're going to go back to, you know, keeping you warm on the field and you know, gear that athletes need. Is there a spot for them there?
Well, sure, there's a spot for them there, but it's still a very competitive spot because they still have to play with one of the really great technical companies, which is Nike. So I look at it and I say, I just said to my driver, a young guy who was on the way over here, and I said, what do you think of Under Armour? And he said, it's kind of past peak. I don't think I need it anymore. And I was like, wow, this is an anecdote of one, but when it goes right along with what I'm thinking, I kind of adopt it. So I really do believe that they're going to have a hard time.
That's actually a contrarian.
Well, the offset is that I bought some Under Armour over the weekend. That's a sell signal.
And then it's definitely.
That's definitely a sell signal. Well, you know, there's just no way if you're buying it.
What about internationally? Have they got a lot of easy land to grab there still, or is it starting to be as competitive for them internationally as it has been in the U.S.?
No, I think that's the secret. I think growing internationally is where they're going to win when they win. But they still have to win at, like I say, a 65 multiple. So they've got to have a lot of international growth if they're not going to get the U.S. growth and if they're not going to take market share back from Nike. And when they say things like, you know, we're going to do more stuff with Steph Curry and things like that, I'm thinking, what, it took you 20 years of watching Nike before you figured that out? Nike owns that space. So I just think that's really a tough assignment for them. So like I said, I think they did all the right things. I think their business is getting better. They're doing a good job on expenses. They're doing a good job on gross margin. They're doing a better job as far as distribution. But I'm not sure that's enough to believe I think they should have been up on 6% on this offering today. So I just don't see why that's so strong.
Who do you like in retail right now? I mean, you can stay athleisure if you want or broaden it a little bit.
Well, I like Nike, and I like Kohl's, for instance, who sells a lot of athleisure. But it's hard to, I really like the brands. It's just not Under Armour. I like Kors. I like Ralph Lauren. I'm just not thrilled with Under Armour because I still think they look expensive for what they're delivering. It's not that I think branded's great. I think direct-to-consumer is great. They talked about that in their business, that they're going to do a better job with the direct-to-consumer. I think you have to do all that, and you need to be a strong brand. They're just not my favorite of the strong brands. I like VF. I like PVH. I like all of those branded players. I just don't have Under Armour on my list, unfortunately.